Have you ever felt like you weren't in control of your own cravings? Like, no matter how much you rationalize, how many plans you make, or how many times you swear off sugar, chips, or processed food, you still somehow find yourself reaching for them again. You're not alone. But here's the truth that most people have never been told. It might not be your brain that's responsible. It might be something much deeper, something few people ever talk about, the forgotten brain inside your gut. This isn't a metaphor. Buried within your digestive tract is a complex neural network made up of over 100 million neurons, more than you have in your spinal cord. This system is called the Enteric Nervous System, and it's often referred to as your second brain. But that title doesn't quite capture its true influence. This isn't a backup system or a passive support tool. The enteric nervous system is a fully functioning, highly intelligent network that governs far more than just digestion. It rules your mood, your memory, your immune response, and yes, your cravings. What's most surprising is how little we actually acknowledge this system in our day-to-day lives. We've been trained to think of the gut as a processing plant. You eat, it digests, and the nutrients are absorbed. End of story. But honestly, that couldn't be further from the truth. Your gut is a living, thinking organ system with its own neural logic, its own decision-making power, and its own emotional memory. It's constantly collecting data from your body and the environment, and using that information to guide your behavior, often without any input from your conscious mind. In fact, in 2010, a groundbreaking study published in Gastroenterology found that segments of the gut could continue to function, including processing food and sending neural signals, even when completely disconnected from the brain. This means your gut has autonomy. It doesn't just take orders from your head. It can act independently. It processes, evaluates, and even thinks in its own specialized way. Imagine a city where the mayor lives downtown, but the industrial district runs itself. It has its own power grid, its own traffic rules, and its own government. That's your gut in relation to your brain. Even more fascinating is how the gut produces neurotransmitters. Take serotonin, for example, the so-called happiness chemical. Most people assume it's manufactured in the brain, but nearly 90% of your body's serotonin is actually produced in the gut. This connection is so significant that researchers have begun to question whether mood disorders like depression and anxiety are as much gut-based conditions as they are brain-based. If you've ever felt nauseous before a big presentation or experienced butterflies when falling in love, that wasn't your imagination. That was your gut-brain network communicating emotions through physical sensations. This leads us to a question that's haunted millions of people trying to take control of their health. Why do we crave the very things we know are hurting us? The answer may lie within the ecosystem living inside your gut. In a 2015 study published in Cell Metabolism, researchers discovered that different strains of gut bacteria could influence food cravings by manipulating neural signals along the vagus nerve, the main communication channel between the gut and the brain. Essentially, microbes that thrive on sugar and fat can release signals that make you crave more sugar and fat. They're trying to ensure their own survival, not yours. These cravings aren't simply emotional weaknesses or lapses in willpower. They are biochemical demands from microbial colonies that have taken residence in your digestive system. One striking case involved a participant who underwent a course of antibiotics and subsequently reported a dramatic shift in taste preferences. Food she once craved, like candy and pastries, became unappealing, and her desire for fermented and salty foods increased. Brain scans showed notable changes in reward activity associated with these foods. The lesson here is both humbling and empowering. Your cravings may not be your fault, but they can be influenced by changing your gut's internal population. Now consider this. The enteric nervous system is older than your brain. Evolutionarily speaking, it came first. Organisms like jellyfish and sea anemones possess enteric-type neural networks without any centralized brain structure. These creatures have survived for hundreds of millions of years, guided solely by gut-based intelligence. This suggests that digestion, emotion, and survival have always been deeply intertwined. The gut isn't a subordinate system, it's a foundational one. Even more intriguing is how your gut stores and processes emotional memory. A 2021 study from the University of Pittsburgh showed that stimulation of gut-based nerves could enhance emotional memory retention. Participants who received vagal stimulation remembered emotional events more vividly and for longer periods than those who did not. This means that the gut is not just reacting to emotion, it is actively participating in how we encode and recall emotional experiences. When you feel a sinking sensation after hearing bad news, or a tightening in your stomach during conflict, your gut is processing that emotion alongside your brain. And sometimes, it remembers long after your mind has moved on. There is also compelling evidence that the gut can influence behavior before we're even consciously aware of it. In a 2018 paper published in Nature Communications, scientists observed that shifts in gut-brain signaling could be detected moments before participants made behavioral decisions, like choosing unhealthy snacks or reacting to emotional triggers. The implication is profound. Our gut may be shaping our decisions before we even think we've made them. This realization, really turns conventional ideas about self-control and discipline upside down. If we assume that our rational mind is always in charge, we're likely to feel shame or frustration when we act irrationally. But if we understand that the gut has a voice, and sometimes a very loud one, we can approach our choices with more compassion and strategy. This isn't about giving up responsibility, it's about understanding the full picture. So, where does that leave us? Are we just passengers in a vehicle driven by microbes and gut impulses? Not at all. In fact, this understanding gives us the tools to change our internal environment in meaningful ways. The key is not to battle your cravings head-on, but to rewire the system that creates them. This starts with feeding your gut the kind of diversity it needs to thrive. In 2020, the American Gut Project published findings showing that individuals who consumed more than 30 different plant-based foods per week had significantly more diverse microbiomes. These individuals also had lower levels of systemic inflammation, more stable moods, and fewer episodes of food cravings. It's not just about eating healthy food, it's about giving your gut a rich vocabulary of nutrients and fibers to work with. Each plant, spice, or fermented food you consume feeds different bacterial strains, some of which are critical for producing short-chain fatty acids that regulate mood and inflammation. Movement also plays a vital role. Regular physical activity promotes gut motility, reduces stress hormones, and increases the production of beneficial gut chemicals. Sleep, too, cannot be ignored. Disrupted sleep cycles are strongly correlated with gut dysbiosis, which in turn leads to increased cravings and mood swings. And don't underestimate the impact of chronic stress, because your gut doesn't. Stress alters gut permeability, lowers immune function, and reshapes the microbial landscape. The more stressed you are, the louder your gut's distress signals become. But perhaps the most important step is awareness. Simply knowing that your gut has this level of influence begins to shift how you relate to it. Instead of treating your gut like a digestive black box, start paying attention. When you experience a craving, don't just ask, "What do I want?" Ask, "What part of me is asking for this?" Is it emotional, microbial? Is your body asking for comfort? Or is your gut trying to rebalance after a stressful day? This mindset shift honestly changes everything. It opens the door to deeper self-understanding and better self-care. It also replaces guilt with curiosity. Cravings become clues, not character flaws. Symptoms become signals, not failures. And every meal becomes an opportunity to communicate with one of your most powerful and loyal allies, your digestive brain. So here's what I invite you to do next. Start noticing. Track your cravings, not just what you eat, but when and why. Experiment with adding new plant-based foods, fermented items, and prebiotic fibers to your meals. Pay attention to how your gut feels around certain people, during different times of day, or in different emotional states. Does your gut tighten in conflict? Soften in nature? These are not random feelings. They are data points from a system that's trying to keep you safe. If this video opened your eyes to the secret intelligence inside you, consider sharing it with someone who struggles with food, stress, or self-worth. Subscribe to this channel if you want more content that connects science, emotion, and real-life transformation. And leave a comment below. What has your gut been trying to tell you lately? Because in the end, your gut isn't just digesting your food, it's helping you digest your entire life. And the more you listen, the more powerful your choices become.